Hello YouTube, this is BNB Specialist and today I'm going to tell you everything about co-hosting. What is Airbnb co-hosting? How does it work? What are the mechanics of the whole process? What are the things co-hosts can do and what is that they can't do and how does it actually work? So here we go. The first point I'm going to tell you about is Airbnb launched co-hosting back in 2016. It was a groundbreaking feature. No other OTA, even today, offers something like this. HomeAway, Booking.com, they still do not allow co hosting features. What essentially co-hosting on Airbnb is, it is basically giving a helping hand to the host. It can be anything starting from cleaning the property every day, talking to guests, messaging them, looking after supplies in the property. It can be anything. There are a few exceptions, but broadly speaking, a co-host can do majorly everything the main host can do. So yeah, this was amazing tool Airbnb came up with, and it has changed the whole Airbnb landscape in last couple of years. Kind of an industry has started parallel to Airbnb hosting. There are professional hosts, including me, offering their professional services. They know how things work, and they are rolling out their services to other people who need help with hosting. So yeah, essentially it is a helping hand when if you feel overburdened with your Airbnb responsibilities, or maybe you're just new to Airbnb, you don't know where to get started. So that's where Airbnb co-hosts can come in the picture. They can access your listing. They can see everything what you see on Airbnb. They can reply to guests and they can do everything for you. They can even create a listing for you. So the spectrum is huge. What a co-host can do is infinite, depending on how much you want them to be involved. So the first thing first, I'm going to tell you what are the things Airbnb co-hosts can do. Uh, so the first thing I would like to highlight is a co-host can create a listing for you as well. So, for example, you are new to Airbnb, you don't know how it works. What are the things you need to keep in mind when creating a listing? What are the essential items you should mention on a listing? So, a professional co host who already has an experience about Airbnb, they can come in, sit with you, explain you how it works, how to log in, even how to sign up on Airbnb, how you can list your property, what are the key things you need to look out for, your booking settings, how to open your calendar, how to set up your pricing. It can be everything right from the scratch. So a co-host can help you create a listing on Airbnb. The next thing, they can get the space ready for the first guest or on a rolling basis. So co-hosts are usually the people who have been in the industry for a significant period of time. They know what are the items you need in the place, like how many pillows you need on each bed, what kind of soaps you should provide, what kind of toiletries you should not provide, what you need to provide in the kitchen, what kind of television you should have, what kind of internet you should have, how the people are going to check in, how the lockbox is going to be installed, how the key handover process is going to work. There are so many aspects to hosting an Airbnb. So a co-host, that's where he can come in the picture. He can help you getting things started. He can tell you what you need in the property. He can tell you what are the things you need to buy on a regular basis. They can be your basically your helping hand, as I said in the first point. That's what co-hosts can do. The next thing is manage reservations. So once you start rolling, once you start receiving lots of bookings, a co-host can basically see exactly what you see on your Airbnb profile. So basically, there will be two people. Anyone will become communicating at any time. So it can be you, and it will be in parallel your co-host. So for example, if you are the main host and I'm co-hosting your listing, every message you receive on your listing, I'll be able to see it and I'll be able to respond to it as well. So the same way I can manage the reservations for you. So if you, for example, if you have a your calendar booked for next 4 months, and if you want to change something, if you want to update the prices, if you want to make some dates unavailable, I can do all those things for you if I'm your co-host. So that's how it works basically. Co-host can manage the reservations on your behalf. They can look after the cancellations, they can extend the stays, so many things they can do. The next thing is welcome guests in person. So depending on how the kind of arrangement you have with your co-host, they can be the person to welcome. If you do not allow self check-in, they can be the person who's doing meet and greet every time someone comes in. They'll be passing on the keys to them and showing them the place, making them comfortable, and then walk away. Let the guest enjoy the place. So yeah, that's totally based on the arrangement you do with your co-host, but this is one of the essential roles a co-host can do. The next thing, they can be the help guy. Anything goes wrong during the stay, and things do go wrong very often in Airbnbs. For example, a shower is not working, or the internet isn't working, or they've run out of washing tablets. It can be anything. So a co-host can be the help point, the help button whenever someone needs anything during the stay. So it is not essential, but it is up to you the kind of arrangement you come up with the co-host. Some hosts provide this if they're local, or if they're living close to the property. They do offer these kind of services. So yeah, a co-host can be the help to guy. Same way, write reviews. So as I said, a co-host can access all the messages you're receiving and sending to the guest. They can communicate on your behalf, and they can write reviews for the guests as well. So Airbnb allows you to write a review after a guest leaves. So it can be your co-host. If he's more involved than you, he will know how the kind of behavior the guest had, how communicative they were, all those different aspects Airbnb wants you to measure them on. So yeah, a co-host can write reviews on your behalf. It can be a daunting task, in fact, when you have guests coming in, checking out every single day or very frequently. It can be a very daunting task to write reviews for each guest. Some people just use templates and they copy paste it, but it isn't the best thing to do. So co-hosts can then jump in at that point and do it all for you. The next thing is update calendar and pricing. So a co-host can manage the calendar and pricing. It is more complicated. Trust me, it is more complicated than it seems. So if you're listing your property on multiple websites, the biggest challenge people face when they're starting to list their property on different OTAs is maintaining the availability. That's where a co-host can tell you what are the best practices to do when you're, for example, if you have a property you've listed on HomeAway, Booking.com, and on Airbnb. A co-host, if he's an expert co-host, he can tell you what are the ways, what are the possibilities, what are the tools you can use to always maintain your availability across these platforms. So if you receive a booking on Airbnb, your calendar gets blocked on all the other websites you have listed your property on. So that's maintaining your availability. It can be if how many days in future you want to open your property for. Do you want to keep it opening for 3 months rolling, 6 months rolling, 9 months rolling, or do you want to open your calendar for the entire future? That's where expertise of a co-host come in, and he can help you. Pricing is another thing. It's very important to do the pricing. First thing is you need to get the pricing right for your property. If you charge too high, your occupancy will be too low. If you charge too low, your occupancy will be amazing. You'll probably be 100%, but your overall revenue will be too less than what you can expect for a property of that type. So that's where a co-host, an expert co-host, can come in, and he can tell you what are the tools you can use, what are the pricing strategies you can use. Airbnb also has a smart pricing, but it can be quite tricky. They're always trying to push your prices too low. So yeah, update calendar and pricing. An expert co-host can totally guide you with all that. Next thing is restock essential supplies. This ties in with the earlier point I said. Depending on your arrangement with the co-host, they can be looking after the property on a regular basis. They could be even the cleaning guy there, or even if someone else is doing the cleaning for you, they can very frequently go in the property, look at whether there is coffee left in the apartment or the property, if there is enough soap or a dishwashing soap, or if something needs to be changed, like a bed sheet or a linen, which has some, for example, let's say someone spilled a wine and no one has told you about. So it's better to have an eye apart from your cleaner. It's better to have a second eye there who's always looking out for things which need to be changed. So yeah, that's where the co-host can do it all for you. The next thing is cleaning and maintenance. Essentially the same point as the previous one. Some co-hosts I know, they live locally, they do cleaning for you, they do messaging for you, they look after the maintenance supplies, everything they look after for you. So you basically sit back, relax, and let him manage the entire property for you. So yeah, they can be doing the cleaning for you, and if anything goes wrong, they can be the maintenance go-to person. Next thing is get help from Airbnb. It's very important. A co-host can call on your behalf and speak to Airbnb if there is a problem. When I say problem, it can be related to the listing. So, for example, if you're not able to do something on your property, on your Airbnb listing, for example, if you can't open a few dates in your calendar, they're blocked, you don't know how do I open it, a co-host can call Airbnb and they will treat him as if it's you who's calling, and they will solve the problems for you. If there is a problem with the guest, your co-host can call Airbnb. If there is a problem with the reservation, your co-host can call Airbnb. Essentially everything a co-host can do apart from your financial details. I'm going to come to that in the next topic. But yeah, essentially everything a co-host can do, Airbnb will speak to him on your behalf and they will sort things out for you. Right, so the next topic is what a co-host cannot do. So a co-host cannot see the past messages, which comes under privacy terms. Basically, if you add me as a co-host to your property today, I won't be able to see what conversations you've had with a guest before this time. So if you were talking to a guest yesterday, I won't be able to see those conversations. I will only be able to see the conversations you're going to have with the guest from this point onwards, if I'm your co-host from now on. I think that's quite a neat feature. The next thing is a co-host cannot open or manage a resolution center requests for you. So what that essentially means is when there is a problem, for example, you have a property, I'm managing it for you, I'm your co-host, and something goes wrong in the property, for example, a guest damaged the television, for example. Being a co-host, I cannot raise a claim to request money from the guest. It has to be the main host. It is, you can argue why Airbnb doesn't allow that. But it is, I think I know where they're coming from, so it kind of makes sense as well because it's money related. So yeah, I cannot open a case which is basically followed by a complaint about a guest. So if something goes wrong in the property and you have to raise a claim, you will have to do that. Your co-host cannot raise it for you. Access the listing owner's payout or taxpayer information, which is quite obvious. So I, being a co-host, I cannot see your bank account details, how you're getting paid. I'll be able to see the financial details of each booking. I'll be able to see how much you are getting paid for each booking, but I cannot see your bank account details, your taxpayer information, all those things a co-host cannot see. But yeah, I'll be able to see what you are being paid for each reservation, being if I'm your co-host. The last one is review the listing owner's activity traveling on Airbnb as a guest. So if you are an owner and I'm your co-host, and if you're traveling, I won't be able to see your travel itinerary or travel plans, or where you're going, because I'm just a co-host for your property, not for your tours and trips. So yeah, that's essentially it. There is one more thing that I think it's worth mentioning, is how do co-hosts get paid. So up until I think it was in around mid 2019, Airbnb had this neat feature where you could set a commission or a fixed amount. Airbnb would split. When they're paying you, they will send a specific amount to your co-host automatically. So, for example, most of the co-hosts I know, they work on a percentage. So let's say if you have an arrangement with a co-host for X% of your earnings, Airbnb, when paying you, they will, for example, if you had a co-host who was doing it for 10% of the total revenue. So if every time Airbnb is paying you $100, they will pay you 90 and they will send 10 to the host. But it was creating too many complications for Airbnb in terms of calculations, and too many complaints, I guess. So they stopped doing it. So all they have to say is they are not going to look after the manage and the payment of the co-hosts. You have to deal with it. So what it essentially means to you is you will get the $100 for the booking, and then it's up to you how you pay the co-host. Airbnb is not going to pay the co-host. You have to deal with the payments for the co-host. Right, so the last topic I'm going to cover in this video is how to add a co-host on Airbnb. To add someone to your listing as a co-host, you need to log into the Airbnb website. You cannot do this from a smartphone app. Once you are logged into Airbnb on your computer, go to the listing where you want to add the person to. And on the edit listing page, you will see this last tab, which is the co-hosts tab. Click here, and then you will see invite a friend. That's where you click invite a friend, and the pop-up comes up where you can just enter the email address of the person you want to add and agree to the co-host terms of service, and you can send an invite. Immediately after that, the person will get a notification on their Airbnb app. Also, they will get an email. They just need to accept it, and after that, they'll be able to see everything what's going on your listing, apart from the few exceptions I mentioned to you. I hope you like my video. Please do subscribe to my channel if you want to know more tricks that will be encouraging. Happy hosting. Bye bye.